What if the reason you don't have friends isn't because you failed socially, but because your mind works in a way most people don't immediately understand? Not having friends isn't always random, and it's not always about being shy. Sometimes it's the result of subtle psychological patterns, ways of thinking, perceiving, and responding that quietly create distance. This isn't about being broken, but it also isn't about being superior. It's about patterns. Here's what psychology suggests about people who often end up alone, even when they don't actually want to be. 1. You overanalyze every social interaction. When a conversation ends, yours doesn't. It continues in your head. You replay your tone, your pauses, their facial expressions. You dissect what you said, what they meant, what you should have said differently. This comes from hyper self-awareness. Your brain constantly monitors how you're being perceived. It feels intelligent, responsible, even mature. But socially, it creates tension. While others are just talking, you're observing yourself talk, measuring, adjusting, calibrating, and people feel that. They don't know why it feels slightly formal around you, slightly careful, but connection requires relaxation, and you're rarely fully relaxed. 2. You have a low tolerance for inauthenticity. You notice forced laughter, attention-seeking behavior, small lies wrapped in charm. Psychologists would call this high social perception. But when you see through people quickly, you stop playing along. You don't fake excitement. You don't exaggerate interest. You don't perform enthusiasm just to smooth the moment. And here's the problem. Most friendships begin with light performance before depth forms. When you skip that stage, people sometimes read your silence as judgment, your neutrality as superiority, your independence as emotional distance. So they step back, not because you attacked them, but because you didn't mirror them. 3. You are emotionally self-sufficient. When something hurts, you process it alone. When you struggle, you internalize it. You rarely ask for reassurance. You rarely vent. On paper, that looks strong. But relationships are built on shared vulnerability. When you don't show need, people subconsciously feel unnecessary around you. They don't feel invited into your inner world. You're not pushing them away, but you're not opening the door either. And sometimes, if we're honest, self-sufficiency becomes armor. It protects you from dependence, but it also protects you from closeness. 4. You resist group mentality. When everyone laughs, you analyze the joke. When everyone agrees, you question the logic. When trends explode, you stay still. Psychologists call this low social conformity. You think independently. You don't adjust your personality to match the room. That earns quiet respect. But most people bond over sameness, shared rhythms, shared reactions. When you consistently stand slightly outside the group's emotional frequency, you become the observant one, the thoughtful one, the different one. And difference is often admired from a distance, more than it is embraced up close. 5. You struggle with emotional reciprocity, not because you don't care, but because you process feelings internally. Some people express warmth instantly, fast empathy, visible excitement, emotional mirroring. You might feel all of that, but privately. By the time you articulate it, the moment has passed. Psychology sometimes links this to mild difficulty identifying or expressing emotions outwardly. You believe being reliable is enough, being logical, being present when needed. But friendships thrive on visible warmth. People need to feel your care, not just benefit from your help. When they don't consistently feel it, they drift. Not because you lack depth, but because they couldn't see it. Most people who don't have friends didn't lose them dramatically. They lost them gradually, through tiny moments. Missed invitations, overthinking texts, choosing silence, growing more self-contained each year. You didn't wake up one day friendless. You slowly optimized yourself for independence in a world that bonds through shared imperfection. And here's the truth. Not having friends doesn't automatically mean you're broken. But it also doesn't automatically mean you're rare or evolved. It means your psychological patterns prioritize truth, autonomy, and internal processing over social fluidity. That has strengths, and it has costs. The moment you recognize your patterns, you stop asking, "Why don't I have friends?" and start asking, "Which parts of me create distance without me realizing it?" Because awareness gives you choice. You don't have to fake your personality, but you might need to soften the edges that unintentionally isolate you. And once you see that clearly, you'll realize something important. You were never incapable of connection. You were just protecting yourself in ways that looked like independence.